Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be getting started at exactly 2 p.m. and thank you all for arriving early. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining the Center for Energy Education for our webinar today. So we do have a guest speaker today, and his name, as I call him, Dr. Moorthy. He is an electrical and electronics engineer. He obtained his master's and doctorate degrees in electrical engineering from Virginia Tech and his master's degree in electrical engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology in Technology Madras, India, and a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering from PSG College of Technology in India as well. So we are so happy to have him today. He will be speaking on electrical vehicles and community involvement. Here at the Center for Energy Education, we consider ourselves to be a place for learning and training for the community. And so our mission is to be a cutting edge space where education, research, and industry leading professionals work and learn side by side. We are a space where the local community finds inspiration and opportunities to become the energy professionals and advocates of sustainability of tomorrow. We do have several community partners within our community, as we are a nonprofit organization. And what do? Our work consists of building leadership capacity, providing clean energy workforce opportunities, and community engagement and K through 12 educational programming. So again, we educate the community about the renewable energy industry, whether it be through our workforce trainings or our community outreach events. We are always on the move, and we are very passionate about what we do. And as a part of the renewable energy industry, we felt it very appropriate to talk about electrical vehicles today. And again, we are so happy to have our guest speaker today. At this time, I'm going to turn the webinar over to our guest speaker. Without further ado, Dr. Moorthy. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Whitney. Thank you for the invitation and thank you for the opportunity to share some information about the electric vehicles and the community involvement. I will go ahead and share my presentation, and we might be skipping over some slides because it might be redundant. And again, I believe the question and answer session will be at the end of this presentation. The presentation will last about 40 minutes or so. And after that, we'll try to answer some questions. So
Yes.
with that, I will start sharing my presentation.
And also for the Q&A session, please type your questions in the Q&A section, and I will read the questions to Dr. Moorthy, and he will answer them. Thank you again. And again, I turn it back over to Dr. Moorthy.
Thank you. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start. Actually, I was teaching a course for the high school students at four different counties, including Halifax County. So part of the presentation comes from there. It is about the electric vehicles. So this presentation or this webinar has mainly two parts. The first part is about electric vehicles, and we'll compare them with the existing gasoline vehicles. And the second part is how the community gets impacted by the electric vehicles. So this is the outline of my presentation or the webinar. So first we look at the gasoline powered vehicles, and then we look at electric vehicles, the type of EVs. And again, there are three different types, main types of the EVs. So we look at all those. And then we'll also look at the EV chargers. Again, you must have heard about the EV chargers, installed at home or your office or commercial EV chargers. We'll see how the EV chargers are dif- they differ from each other, and then what are the different specifications. And the second part will go over the community involvement and how the EV get adopted in the community, and then what are the effects of the EV on the economy, environment, and health. And then finally, we will look at the job opportunities and the training resources in the EV industry. All right, so let's look at the gasoline powered vehicle. Again, we are all familiar with the gasoline powered vehicle. We have been driving those for a very, very long time. And gas powered vehicle, as you see, we have a fuel tank, and I'll be marking these fuel tank. And the fuel tank, on the fuel tank, the fuel gets pumped into the engine. The engine burns the fuel. Again, I don't want to go into the mechanism of how the engine works, but the fuel gets used in the engine, and the engine moves the wheels through a transmission. And of course, now they have a fuel injection system, which makes it more economical. Normally, the engine runs at a very high speed, around 3,000 revolutions per minute, and it cannot drive the wheels directly. So we have a transmission in between which reduces the speed based on the gas pedal. So now let's see what happens to all the energy that is used in the gasoline powered engine. For example, we go to the gas station and pump $10 worth of gas. Only about $2 worth of gas is being used to move the vehicle, and the rest of the energy is lost. And most of the energy is lost as heat. As you can see here, it's about 70% of the energy is lost as heat. And the remaining energy is lost as parasitic losses, that case friction, and then 3 to 5% in transmission through the gears. And the remaining energy is being used for moving the vehicle. It's only about 16 to 25%. So if you put $10 worth of gas, we are using only about $2 worth of gas to move the car. So which is very, very bad. And so I'm just giving you this so that we can compare the gasoline powered vehicle to the electrical vehicle. So let's look at some of the examples of electric vehicles. So we have electric bikes, electric scooters, and all the way up to electric trains. Electric trains have been there for a very, very long time. And so electric cars are new because of the technology involved is evolving. And I'm giving you some examples of the electric vehicles. It's a Chevy Bolt, as you can see here on the left side. On the right side, it is a police car used by the Cary Police Department, which is close to Raleigh. And Ford F-150, that's a Lightning. It's a pickup truck. And again, this is a very popular pickup truck. And now they have a long truck as well, 18-wheeler truck as well. So they are introducing fire engines, as you can see here, and then the school buses are also being introduced. And we are working with an organization in Cherokee, and they have already about 5 school buses, and they are getting 8 more school buses. So again, as you can see, there is a range of electric vehicles starting from electric scooter, electric bike, all the way to electric school bus and electric trains. So now let's see what is there inside under the hood of an electric vehicle. So the main power comes from battery pack. As you can see, there is a battery pack, and from the battery pack, it drives an electric motor. It's right here, and then the energy gets transferred to the wheels through the transmission. Again, the electric motor runs at a very high speed. We cannot just drive the wheels using the electric motor directly. That's why we have a transmission in between. And then we need to have a power electronic controller, because the gas pedal is not really a gas pedal. It is just an acceleration pedal. So that controls power electronics, that controls the speed of the vehicle. In addition to that, we need to power the headlamps and the tail lamps on the interiors of the vehicle. So for that, we have another DC to DC converter here. So again, the battery voltage is around 400 to 600 volts, or maybe even 800 volts. Some vehicles are coming with 800 volts. So that's too much for driving or lighting the headlamps and the tail lamps. And that's the reason why they need to have a converter, DC to DC converter that reduces the voltage into maybe 12 volts, 24 volts, and so on. And then the battery and the motor needs to be cooled. For that, there is a cooling system with a radiator, similar to a regular car. So now let's see what happens to the energy that we put into this particular electric vehicle. Again, assume that we use $10 worth of energy, put in $10 worth of energy. Only 10% is lost in the charging. Again, they have electronics, and 10% gets, lost in that. And in the drivetrain, about 18% gets lost using, for when you convert the speed, friction, and the gears, and so on. And for cooling, we use about 3%. And eventually, 31 to 35% of the energy is lost. And what happens is when the car slows down, that energy gets converted back into electrical energy, and that gets to charge the battery again. And that is 22% is recaptured. And that's why the efficiency is about 87 to 91%, almost 90%. So that is almost 4 times as efficient as a gasoline powered car. So these are the components I've already mentioned. So we'll skip over this slide. And there are a few types of electric vehicles we need to be familiar with. One is a hybrid electric vehicle. Again, you might be familiar with the Toyota Prius and other vehicles. And here we have still fuel tank, and the fuel is used to run the engine. The engine generates electricity using a small generator over here, and that generator is used to charge the battery. And the battery runs again an electric motor, and the electric motor drives the wheels. And it's a little bit more advanced when compared to the gasoline powered car, and it is more efficient as well. Now the next step up is plug-in electric vehicle. In addition to fuel, we can also charge the batteries using a plug-in cable. And the plug-in electric vehicle, again, they have a Chevy Volt model, and the plug-in using electricity alone, it can go for about 50 miles, which is not much. Maybe for daily commute, we can use this, but beyond that, it uses only gas. All right. So hydrogen fuel vehicle, don't have it in the market yet, and it's a mainly experimental basis. And they pump hydrogen instead of the gasoline, and the hydrogen is used to generate electricity in a fuel cell. The fuel cell is basically like a battery, and it generates electricity. Electricity is being used for charging the batteries, and beyond that, it is similar to the electric car. It runs the electric motor, and from there, through transmission, it can drive the wheels. All right, so let me go to some of the projects we did. I did with my students when I was working for UNC Asheville. So we took a electric golf cart, converted that into solar powered golf cart. And again, normally the electric golf carts will have a lead acid battery. Lead acid battery is very inefficient. Every 2 to 3 years, you have to change the battery, and you have to maintain it every month. Otherwise, it'll lose the life. And we put a lithium iron phosphate battery. That battery lasts for about 10 years, no maintenance required, and it weighs about 1/3 of the lead acid batteries. And again, we are using the solar panels, and the solar panels capture the sunlight, it charges the battery. So you don't have to plug in to charge. And the picture you see on the right side, we did this work for another college called Warren Wilson College. We displayed this vehicle in the UNC Asheville campus. You can see the UNC Asheville chancellor and the police chief. They are driving this vehicle. All right. So this project is the electric race car. You see the students, my students standing here, and they designed and made this electric car and took it to race in Michigan in the year 2023. And they went all the way, and then for some reason they did not pass the electrical inspection. And it was a first year first year team. So it was a great achievement. Very rarely the first year teams are able to qualify for the race. And my students qualified for the race. And again, this is an international competition, and it's very, very hard to get in. All right. So another point, many of the students got jobs in Tesla, Rivian, and SpaceX, and so on. So because they acquired so much technical knowledge using this project. All right. So now let's go to EV chargers. Again, there is not much in the EV charger itself. As you can see here, we are getting the electricity from the grid, that is the house electricity or outside electricity supply. And then that goes into the car. And car has all the electronics in most of the chargers. And car converts the AC into DC, uses that to charge the battery. And now let's see what are the different types of chargers. So there is level 1 charger. All you need to do is just plug it in into any outlet that you have it in your home or garage. And it is very slow. It's going to charge only about 5 miles of range per hour, which is not much. So if you charge overnight, probably you can use it next day for your commute to a maximum of about 20 miles each way, which is not much. And if you are going on a long trip, it is not much. So level 2 charger, you need to have a little bit of more work done. Um, we use a 240 volts wall outlet, and they also call it as a dryer plug. And again, we use that for the electric oven range. And it can charge 25 miles an hour per of range per hour. And it needs to be installed by a qualified electrician. And most of the electric car companies, they sell this charger as well. So all you have to do is just get it from them, get it installed, it's ready to use. There's not much of modification required. Level 3 charger, we may not be able to do that at home, but in communities, we can have level 3 charger. It's also called DC fast charger. It is, as you can see, it can charge up to 250 miles of range per hour. So it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to fully charge this electric vehicle. And they have a lot of commercial charging stations coming up all over the place. And eventually, the regular gas stations will be replaced with this electric charging stations. All right. So now let's look at the community involvement. And we have several topics to cover. And then we look at why EV is economical, and then what are the impacts of electric vehicles on the environment and health, and then how the EVs affect the society. And eventually, at the very last, we look at the job opportunities and the training resources available. All right. So if you look at how much energy we are using in the US, about 30% of the total energy usage is used by automobiles, which is very huge. And the remaining energy is being used for industries or electricity in the residences, commercial space, and so on. And of 70% of the petroleum that is being used, that is used for automobiles only. So, which is a huge number. So, what happens is we have to refine the petroleum, whatever petroleum we are getting from the ground, it cannot be used directly into the automobiles. We have to refine that, transport that using trucks, maybe trains, maybe pipelines, and so on. And again, the petroleum price is not going to be stable. It varies from anywhere from $50 a barrel to $150 a barrel, depending on the world market condition. And sometimes, if any pipeline gets disrupted, the oil prices go up, and also the gasoline prices, diesel prices go up. That affects the overall economy. So it is not secure. Whereas the electricity can be generated anywhere, and it can be generated even at your home, at your office, at your work and university, and so on. Just putting solar panels on top of the roof or maybe on the ground. I'm sure you have Center for Energy Education. You have a huge solar power plant, so you don't have to be depending on the oil to run your car. And the EV costs are high right now when compared to the gasoline powered car. And it's about 40,000, 50,000, something like that. With a tax credit and utility incentives, again, some companies like Duke Energy, they are giving incentive for electric vehicles. And fuel savings, we'll come to the fuel savings in a few minutes. They make the EV economical. Again, right now the costs are high. Eventually, with the mass production, also technological advancement, the EV costs will come down maybe in a few years, which will be equal to the gasoline powered cars, and maybe they will even beat the gasoline powered cars. And the main thing I like about electric vehicles is that there is very little maintenance. You don't have to do oil change on a regular basis. And I was also told that you don't have to change the brake pads, brake discs for maybe about 100, maybe 200,000 miles, because there is something called regenerative braking. They use the electricity to brake rather than mechanical braking. Again, there is a big concept behind that. We may not have time to go into that, but there is something to be aware of. So this is the sticker you see on the electric vehicles when you go to the dealership. And as you can see here, the fuel economy is about 118 miles per gallon equivalent. Again, if you look at the miles per gallon equivalent, miles per gallon for the gasoline powered cars, it might be about 20 to 30 miles per gallon. And the Chevy Bolt gives about almost 4 times as much. So what it means is that the annual fuel cost is only about $550 for average driving of about, I believe, about 5,000 miles to 8,000 miles of driving. And we save about $6,500 over a period of 5 years. And there is no gas emission, no gas. So the rating is the highest that is done. So now let's compare the fuel economy of gasoline powered cars and the hybrid vehicles and the electric car. So for a gasoline powered car, the fuel efficiency is 26 miles per gallon, assuming that it's an SUV. And for a plug-in hybrid, it's about 65 miles per gallon equivalent. That is both electricity and gasoline, as I mentioned earlier. And hybrid powered cars, they take gasoline as well. They have a gasoline engine plus electric motor plus battery. And the all electric vehicle is also, they call it battery electric vehicle, that has almost 100 miles per gallon equivalent, close to 4 times as much as a gasoline vehicle. So we save a lot of money in fuel, and we also save environment because of that. So again, this is the same comparison in charts. We won't go into that because of the lack of time. All right. So what benefits? We'll continue with the benefits of the electric vehicles. So we don't have to do much for charging. You don't have to drive to the gas station and sometimes wait in line like Costco to charge. You can do charging at home. Level 1 charger, as we mentioned, it is just a regular electric outlet. You just plug it in, it's going to charge. At workplace, mostly the universities, offices, they do have level 2 chargers. And so far, it has been free. In my university, it used to be free. I'm not sure about going forward. And they have commercial charging stations coming up, and you have to go there, use a credit card to charge. And even then, it is much, much cheaper when compared to pumping gasoline. And some companies like Tesla, they give free charging for life of the vehicle. So that makes it even more attractive to buy an electric vehicle. So now let's see what are the effects of environment on and health due to the electric vehicles. So we'll start with where our electricity comes from. So most of the electricity, about 40% is generated using gas, natural gas, and then coal accounts for about 20%, nuclear another 19%, wind is about 10%, hydro, solar is only about 5%. Again, this is a breakdown of where our electricity is coming from, mostly natural gas. And again, it is fossil fuel, it is burning, and it is emitting carbon dioxide carbon monoxide, sulfur, and all those things into the air. And coal is also. Now, let's look at the way vehicles. Electric vehicles, in terms of pounds of carbon dioxide equivalent, it's about 2,700 pounds per year. And the reason why it is colored in green is that um, it's because of the electricity generation, not because of the vehicle. And the hybrid vehicle, part of that comes from the electricity supply, and the remaining comes from the gasoline that powers the car. And again, this partial, it's almost twice as much of the all electric vehicle. And let's go to the gas powered electric vehicle. It's almost 5 times as much. So it's highly polluting. And that too, the pollution is local. So you don't have much control over that. So now this is an example of what happens when you have too much pollution. Again, this is a real picture. It's not uh, photoshopped or anything like that. This is from Delhi. And as you can see, because of these electric vehicles, as well as they burn the crops after the harvest, and whatever is left over the fields, and that is causing a lot of pollution. And again, people are not able to come out, but still they have to come out, go to work, and things like that. And sometimes they shut down the airport and the whole city because of the air pollution. And US, we haven't seen it yet, but if we continue to use the gas powered cars, this will come someday. All right. So, what are the effects of the air pollution? Again, this is not because of the gasoline powered cars alone, overall air pollution, but gasoline powered cars, diesel powered vehicles, they are major part of this problem. So, as you can see here, it affects our breathing. So, lung diseases, asthma, lung cancer, lung development, pneumonia, and so on. And that leads to heart disease, high blood pressure, and also it affects the skin. And there's a lot of side effects due to the air pollution. All right, so this slide will skip over. Now let's look at what are the economic impacts of this electric vehicles, using the electric vehicles. So one is we save money, about $1,000 to $1,300 in fuel costs, depending on the size of the vehicle. 11,000 to about 17,000 over a vehicle lifetime, maybe about 5 years, 6 years, something like that. And this money can be used for other expenses. Probably can save it and put it towards your kids' education and so on. And again, whatever money is left over, that is put back into the local economy. And so that also creates the local jobs. We will see how it is done in the next slide. All right. So some companies like Duke Energy, they are giving some incentive for using electric vehicles at home as a backup for the power grid. So in the sense, whenever there is a peak demand, the power generation companies like Duke Energy, they have to generate more power. So they bring more resources online so that they can meet the demand. Instead of that, they can utilize the battery from the vehicles, and that goes to the grid. That goes to the grid. Sorry. So that goes to the grid, and then the grid can use that power. So I believe they are giving about, yeah. And Duke Energy, again, it is giving some money for installing the battery along with the solar that can be used as a backup power in case when there is energy demand. And also when there is power outage due to, let's say, hurricane or some other reason or extreme winter. So you can use the battery in the electric vehicle to power the home. So I believe the Ford F-150 can power the home for about 3 to 5 days. So I've seen some of my colleagues using that in the Asheville area when they had a power outage due to the hurricane, and they have been using that for powering their homes. It's about 3 to 5 days, not much, but it still is much better than not having the power at all. And another thing that I wanted to point out is that electric chargers, EV chargers are being installed near commercial spaces and near restaurants and so on. So people come and park their cars. Takes about 20 to 30 minutes to charge the electric vehicle. And in the meantime, they can go and have some coffee or sandwich and things like that. So because of that, the local businesses benefit. In addition to that, some people use that as a business to install the EV chargers, and they can sell electricity to the electric vehicle owners and make some money out of that. It is similar to gas station. So last but not the least, we look at some of the job opportunities and the training resources. So this information I got from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's a federal government organization. And the research scientists in electric vehicle industry, they get about 68 to 84,000. Again, they must have done a survey, and using that survey, they collected and published this information. The engineers who work in this industry, they get about 80,000 to 100,000. This is just an approximate figure. It may not be the highest or lowest and things like that. And the workers and technicians, they get about 29 to 40,000. The machine operators, they get about 35 to 40,000. Again, there's a lot of potential in this electric vehicle industry. And automotive service technician, eventually, the technicians that work on the gasoline powered cars, they need to be retrained. A lot of dealerships, Toyota dealership, Chevy dealership, Honda dealership, they started training their electricians in the electric vehicles. And EV charger installers, as well as the technicians, they will also get some more jobs. I don't have the exact information about the salary range, but I would assume that it's going to be around 35 to 40,000 range. All right. So now let's look at what are the different employers in North Carolina and South Carolina. Again, I went through different websites and collected this information, and then I looked at their job opportunities as well. So Siemens is one company. They make the infrastructure for electric vehicles. And Toyota battery manufacturing is there in North Carolina. Volvo has factory in North Carolina, and I believe in South Carolina as well. Thomas Built Buses is in, I believe, Greensboro, and they make school buses. BMW is in Spartanburg, Greenville area, and originally they were making the regular cars. Now they started making electric cars as well. VinFast is another company. That's a Vietnamese company. They started manufacturing batteries right here in North Carolina. Again, the number of companies are growing, and the number of jobs are also growing in the electric vehicle industry. Let's look at the training resources. WakeTech has a program on the EV. They are planning to offer a 2-year associate degree in electric vehicles. And I'm not sure whether it happened or not, but they have individual courses in electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and so on. And also the electric vehicle supply equipment, EVSE, is basically chargers and the infrastructure that is needed for chargers. And they started offering a course. I'm attending a course sometime in February. And you can go to the website and then look at different courses they offer. The universities, I didn't get exact information, but as far as I know, they offer EV courses as a part of curriculum. Maybe one course. It will not be a full degree, but it will be just one course. And then, as I mentioned, we did several projects on the electric vehicles up to race car level. And then NC State, they have a Freedom Center. They are also doing a lot of research on electric vehicles. Also, the students participate in electric vehicle and solar vehicle competitions, and that builds their skills. Yeah. So if you want to have more resources, there's lots and lots of websites available. And again, I will provide this presentation to Ms. Whitney, and she can pass it on to whoever is interested. And yeah, so Department of Energy has a lot of information on electric vehicles. Most of the information I presented earlier, that comes from Department of Energy. and the National Renewable Energy Lab that has quite a lot of information on electric vehicles, and other websites such as Electric for All, Udemy, Coursera. These are companies that offer online courses. There's lots and lots of courses available. As far as EV charging is concerned, we have several resources. One is NC Clean Energy Technology Center. They have some information on the vehicle chargers. And as I mentioned, WakeTech is offering a course on the electric vehicle charging infrastructure. They call it EVSC. And there is a regular course available for technicians as well. The public EV charging infrastructure playbook is also available through this driveelectric.government, GOV, and there is lots and other information available through the plug-in EV handbook also. So that's all I have for now, and now it's open for questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moorthy, for that amazing presentation. So, at this time, I'm going to, Dr. Moorthy has opened the floor for questions. So please type your questions into the Q&A section. I will read them off, and Dr. Moorthy will answer the questions. So we'll just wait patiently. So to start us off on Dr. Moorthy, I do have one question.
Sure.
So I know you said that owners can resell electricity and make a profit. So what does that process look like?
I don't know the exact number, but I would assume that it should be about a few cents on a kilowatt hour, maybe about 10-20% at this point.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And let's see. All right. I think one person asked something if but it disappeared. Um whoever it was, can you please put the question? Oh, okay. They put it in the chat. Okay, hold on. No problem. I can check the chat as well. Okay. So in terms of the recyclability of EVs, like in terms of that. Oh, okay, the person is still typing. Okay, one moment. So it's more to the question. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay. Let's see if it okay. Yeah, and they're still typing, so yeah, we'll just we'll just wait. And with the recyclability of EVs, like I said, the person is still typing, but we'll just get to that question next. Okay. How many parts of an electrical vehicle can be recycled?
Okay. Actually, right now, the electric vehicles are pretty much the same as the gasoline powered vehicles. For example, the body is made of metal, and metal could be aluminum or steel. And the wheels, again, they are made of aluminum or steel. Only the part that cannot be recycled at this point is batteries. And the batteries are made of lithium ion or lithium ion phosphate. And that will last for about 100,000 miles. Many of the companies are offering 100,000 miles warranty for the batteries. So the battery recycling is a challenge. And of course, over a period of time, some companies will find an economic way of recycling the batteries, and all the other parts can be recycled, like what we do right now, the metal recycling.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we have We have two more questions that have popped up. So here's the next one. How do you see the EV market evolving in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of accessibility and affordability?
Actually, no, the EV prices have come down quite a bit. And right now, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the $7,500 rebate on the EVs. It was a good buy. For example, the Tesla recently, one of my friends bought a Tesla. It was only about $42,000, which is quite comparable to the gasoline powered SUV. But without that, it's going to be difficult. But I believe in the next 5 years, the electric vehicle costs will come down because of the competition, market competition. Almost every company, every automobile company has electric vehicle, except the exception of Toyota. And Toyota is going into hybrid vehicles. I'm sorry, hydrogen powered vehicles. So because of the market as well as the competition, mass production, the vehicle prices will come down. And I believe at some point in the next 3 to 5 years, it'll be economical to buy an EV.
All right, thank you. And just got another question. For those who cannot afford to purchase an EV, is a hybrid vehicle a worthwhile investment?
Yeah, at this point, yes. But unfortunately, there is not a lot of hybrid vehicles available. And of course, I believe, again, my personal belief is that hybrid vehicles will go away once the electric vehicles start selling not high volume. So I'm not sure whether hybrid vehicles will be a good investment right now, especially the new ones. Instead, I would wait for a few more years and buy a um, all electric vehicle, and that's what I am planning to do.
Okay. All right. Here we have another question here. What are some of the advancements in battery technology that could make electrical vehicles more sustainable and cost effective?
Actually, from lithium ion battery, there is a problem. Once it catches fire, it's very difficult to put out. I attended one workshop in Charlotte, and they were mentioning that in the racetrack they have electric car racetrack. I mean races. During that time, they have a safety protocol. If any car catches fire, all they have to do is just tow it away and then put it somewhere else, far away from the racetrack. And it's very hard to put out those fires. And of course, the fires are very rare, but they do happen. And instead, what they are doing is they are moving to lithium iron phosphate battery, so which is much more safer when compared to lithium ion battery. And there are other technologies coming up. So there is a nickel hydrate battery, and that is much safer. I've seen few other companies that have different technologies, but the thing is that they are heavy. They are not used for vehicles right now, but they are trying to use it for the solar power.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Morty. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I've missed any other questions. Okay, let's see. One moment. Okay. What is the rate of community acceptance for electrical school buses?
Actually, it depends. Again, there was a school bus program through which a lot of school districts they applied for and got school buses. Again, with the change in the administration, I don't know what's going to happen to those programs. And as I mentioned, in Cherokee, I am familiar with their program. They have about 5 school buses, and they are planning to get 8 more. They are already ordered, and they are also installing um, a charging station using all solar power. So they got $3 million grant from EPA project that I was involved in, and so they are going ahead. And I'm not sure about the other school districts. And I wish more school districts come forward and then try to get electric school buses. Again, electric school buses are good because they don't have to be idled, and they can be started immediately. Also, there is no emission. So the kids and the people who ride on the buses, they don't get affected by the air pollution.
Okay. All right. We have another question that just came through. Okay. Um, how can, excuse me, let me see. How can local governments and organizations partner with EV companies to ensure equitable access to EV technology and infrastructure?
I am not sure the EV companies are doing anything, but mostly it is government so far. But again, with the change in the administration, I don't know what's going to happen. So as far as I know, most of the grants used to come from the companies, and I'm sorry, the government, the federal government or the state government. I'm not sure what's going to happen from now on.
Okay.
I'm
Thank you,
sure it will
Doctor.
be the sorry. I'm sure
Oh,
it
go
will be
ahead.
in the best interest of those EV companies to encourage the communities to adopt to EV. I'm not sure what they are planning to do.
Okay. And let's see, are there solar PV modules, photovoltaic modules on the EV charging stations to help power the towers?
So what I understand is, are there solar PV modules on the EV charge stations to help power the towers? In the sense, is it
Yes.
the EV charging station, or is it the any other station?
Yes, their question was are solar photovoltaic modules or panels on the EV charging stations to help power the towers?
Yeah, there are some companies that sell that
Okay.
as a module. Now you can buy the whole module and then install that on your roof or garage and use that to charge the EV. And also some offices. I've seen in Charlotte, one of the companies they were doing that. Again, that's a very good idea because you don't have to be relying on the electricity that comes from the grid to charge the EV station. I mean EVs, and instead you can use whatever solar PV you get from the EV charging station to power your home or maybe office as well.
Okay. All right. And let's see, we got another question that has popped up here. Great. And I'm just giving it a second. How do the maintenance costs of electrical vehicles compared to traditional internal combustion engine vehicles over the long term?
Yeah. As I mentioned, there is no oil change required and there is no regular maintenance required. The only maintenance that might be required is changing the brake pads. And once in a while, you have to check your battery, changing the brake pads. I have seen some reports where they didn't have to change the brakes for about 400,000 miles because it uses regenerative braking. Whenever it slows down, when we brake it, the engine slows down, the car slows down. That is used to generate the electricity by converting the motor into a generator. So that reduces the stress, mechanical stress on the braking pads and braking um, discs. So that means that you have to change the brakes only once in very long time, maybe about 200,000 miles. So that saves a lot of money. I would assume that the brake maintenance charges will be about one third or one fourth of gasoline powered cars. And again, the engine is the overall mechanism is very simple. There is no moving part except probably the wheels and the transmission, the motor, and there is nothing that is burning, and there is no like fuel injector and things like that that gets clogged and so on.
Okay. And also, please describe where microgrids can be integrated into the EV landscape.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And again, the microgrids are, we have some kind of a backup when there is no power from the grid. Of course, the microgrids include the grid as well. And we are working on a project with the Cherokee Reservation, and they got $3 million to put a microgrid to charge the buses. Again, eventually they want to supply the same power that is generated to their businesses, but I am not sure whether that's going to work at this point because it's the regulation by the Duke Energy, and they don't want the power to be supplied to anywhere else except behind the meter. So that's where we are running into problem. Otherwise, it is a possibility. Wherever it is possible, they are doing that. For example, in Maryland and other states, they have already started doing that.
Okay. And we got another question here. How will increasing electrical vehicle adoption affect the power grid, and what can be done to prevent strain on energy systems?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is going to consume power. That's going to consume power from the grid. And so we got to have local power sources, such as solar power, in order to meet the demand, energy demand. But the thing is that these electric vehicles also work as a battery backup. So in the case of high demand, they call it peak demand. So in the case of peak demand, the power generation companies like Duke Energy, they can ask the electric vehicles to discharge into the grid, and that power can be used to meet the peak demand. And so that way, electric vehicles work much better. Yeah.
Okay. And we got two more questions popping up. Okay. What are the tax impacts on electrical vehicles, ownership, such as the car title, gas taxes, and what about the fees for electrical vehicle ownership versus gasoline power?
I'm not too sure about that. I'm not, yeah, not familiar with what are the taxes and so on. Yeah, I need to read up on that.
Okay. All right. And then the next request that we have here is please describe the demographics of EV ownership.
Yeah, right now it is all high income people who are
Mhm,
owning the EVs because of the cost of the electric vehicles
mhm.
and also the availability of EV charging stations.
Okay.
And hopefully that
No.
will change.
Okay. And I have someone else who is typing. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. All right. And another question just popped up. And after this, I think we have time for maybe one or two more. How will increasing EV adoption? Oh, let me see. No, I just read that one. Hold on. I think another one has come up since then. Let's see. Let's see, trying to make sure that I read all of them. Let's see. Let me see. I think this might be one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Morty, if I've read this one already. What are some of the advancements in battery technology that can make electrical vehicles more sustainable and cost effective? Have I already asked you that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I didn't miss a question here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So I think that we have covered all of the questions for today's webinar. But truly, Dr. Morty, this has been an amazing. Oh, okay. Wait, there's another question. Okay. Oh, it's a comment. Okay. One of the participants said state taxes range from additional yearly registration costs to use case cost. So I think they were answering one of the participants' questions about the state, about the tax impacts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that. I see another information on the chat that
Mm-hmm.
Ori Campanisi,
Mm-hmm.
they have given some information about the recycling of batteries. So thank you for that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, Dr. Morty, for your fantastic presentation. And thank you to all of the participants who like came to listen to our webinar today. And Dr. Morty, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to educate our community.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. And again, this is a very, very wide topic. And what I was able to cover was very little. And sorry if I skipped over some information. And again, there's lots and lots of, information available on the internet. And hopefully, you can get this presentation in the form of PDF and go through the links and get some more information about the topics that I presented. Again, I was just giving an overview, and I
Mhm.
hope that your time's worth.
Okay. Yep. Like I said, we were very impressed, and again, thank you so much for providing us with this wealth of information. So at this time, I'm going to wish everyone a wonderful afternoon and a good evening. And again, thank you all for your participation. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you.